Tonight we see Hollywood's search for a new Jane. Scott Baio of Happy Days fame talks of his approach to his fans. In a special feature we look at the earnings of Hollywood's child stars, and we talk to Britain's dynamic Marty Kane. All this and more tonight on Open End.
Hello again. Thank you to the audience and a big welcome to you to Open End. We're also talking tonight to Sol Kersner, this time wearing his impresario hat, Spike Milligan, who was in town, albeit briefly. And later in the programme, as you heard, we're talking to Marty Kane. However, if you'd like to talk to Marty Kane, if you'd like to take part live, participate in Open End tonight, you can do so and pose your own questions by phoning area code 011 726 1818. And I'm sure Marty would be delighted to hear from you. Well, before I go on, I'd like to tell you about a thank you card which I received from Cape Town this week, and I'm going to read it to you. My name is Granny Todd, and believe me, I, amongst many other folk, love you very much indeed. Thanks for that. So can you imagine what it has done to us not being able to face up to the late night programmes? I go to bed and my darling James Todd sets an alarm to wake me up for your show. And last week it did not go off. I missed your show with Clacky McKay and Diana Ross. Is there ever going to be a chance of your show coming on earlier? God bless you, Granny Todd. God bless you, Granny Todd. I really love that, and what she said right at the beginning, which I missed out, is what has gone wrong on the way to the forum? Well, actually, as far as your problem is concerned, we are working on it, so let's hope that we find a solution someday soon. Thank you to Granny Todd. We'd like to start off Open End tonight with a tribute to Henry Fonda. We want to pay this tribute because here was a great star who in fact died in Los Angeles last week of heart failure at the age of 77. In his tribute, President Ronald Reagan, a Hollywood colleague for many of Henry's 56 years in cinema, praised the sincerity and accuracy which made him a legend. Henry, a veteran of 91 film and television productions and 70 stage plays, had an insight and intelligence that simply became better and better with every performance he gave. Henry Fonda was awarded an honorary Oscar in 1981 for his contributions to motion pictures. Typically, he fought off a series of medical problems to return last year to win the Golden Statuette as the Best Actor. Often unsuccessfully nominated for the Oscar, his film classics during the last half-century include The Grapes of Wrath, The Oxbow Incident, Young Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Roberts, and 12 Angry Men.
Remember where your town road was?
Only this year did Henry Fonda finally win his Oscar for his role in On Golden Pond, opposite Katharine Hepburn, in which he played a professor obsessed with his own mortality. And last week, more sad news. It was announced that Patrick McGee had died. Open End found that this led to some misunderstandings, as many people confuse Patrick McGee excuse me, with Patrick McNee, well known to our local television audiences as John Steed of the Avengers series. Patrick McGee, the well-known Irish theatre actor and member of the Royal Shakespeare Company, played Prospero in Pat's production of The Tempest in South Africa in 1975. His most brilliant performances were in Marat Sade, for which he won a Tony Award in 1965, and for a number of plays written by his friend Samuel Beckett. He's also familiar for his screen appearances, including Chariots of Fire. On to another subject now. Rosalind Kyne's singing talent is something you might say runs in the family. And for the last 13 years, Rosalind has been trying to forge a career for herself in the shadow of her big sister, no other than Barbra Streisand, whose influence on Rosa's career definitely has two sides to it.
It's just a dream. dream. If I am fast asleep, never wake me.
Rosalind Kine's singing talent is something you might say runs in the family, and for the last 13 years, Rosalind has been trying to forge a career for herself in the shadow of her big sister, Barbara Streisand, whose influence on Ros's career definitely has two sides to it.
Some ways helped, most ways hindered. Not she herself per se, just the fact that I'm her sister and I'm younger and I came in how many years later, and people constantly try to compare us. Sometimes it opens doors, and on the other hand they'll say, oh, you're too much alike. And yet we're very different in a lot of ways. There are people who want to know you because of it. There are people who don't want to know you because of it. It's a difficult thing to cope with.
Do you ever feel that you're in competition with Barbara?
I don't. I think other people try to put us there. I really don't feel, I don't think there could ever be another Streisand. I really don't. She's one of a kind. Wait a second. That's what they've used to describe me. Gotta change it. One of a Streisand.
Despite numerous nightclub and television appearances and a brief record contract, the big break to stardom has continued to elude Rosalind, who, determined to succeed on her own merits, remains optimistic about her progress.
Well, I'd like to be a little further. I mean, I can't. But I've learned a lot lately, especially in the last 2 years. I've grown also as a person, finding myself, which is very important. And, you know, sometimes, very rarely does somebody get it very fast. And maybe there are lessons we have to learn. And, you know, the hard times are there to help us grow. And if we don't become bitter and we just learn from them, we'll become better people and we'll become even more ready for maybe a future success.
If it's not reality, for this moment, let it be dreams. If it's just a dream, if it's just a dream, let me dream.
With Ros's talent and unwillingness to give up, it seems she only lacks one thing to carry her to the success she's seeking.
The other day I was just honored by Hadassah. And they all fell in love with me, and I was made an honorary imo, which is a mother of an adoptive child in Israel. And all the little Jewish women came over to me and say, "Oh, darling, all you need is a bissel mazel," which is luck.
Last week, family favourite Spike Milligan dropped into Johannesburg, and I spoke to him outside the War Museum.
Yes, I came out here for a madman called Nigel Brown came to me in England and said he wanted to make a documentary in South African Broadcasting Corporation about what was laughingly called the Sane Society, which is a series of half hours making very pointed statements about contemporary society and are we really sane.
That's something which you, in fact, don't believe that we're really sane at all.
No, not at all, no. Not at all. I think we're sane. We can't be sane. Well, that's what it's about. It's called, and that's what I came over for. That and to spend some time with my friend John Varty at the Londolozi Game Reserve where he was. I like it very much there. He's a great, great man.
Why did you particularly go there?
To the Londolozi? Well, I had a letter from a man once called John Varty and his brother Dave. I met him and he said, would you like to come and see what this looks like, this place? So for free he took me there, and I realized right away that this man is possibly one of the greatest ecologists in the world. He's doing what no other conservators are really doing. He's actually orchestrating the bush. He opens up land which is overgrown so that the ungulates can run. He leaves copses and covers for where the the hyenas can hide. He gives every one of the prey a chance. He puts new water holes in. He's raising the water table. He is possibly one of the world's. He's, to me, the 20th century Noah. And I'm not trying to plug Londolozi because I'm not getting paid for this, but for an intellectual appreciation of the bush, I would say it's one of the greatest I've ever been to in my life. It's so fulfilling. And no television and radios and all that jazz, you know. You just have to go to...
You're a person of really passionate conviction
Yeah.
about the ecology, about conservation, preservation of the endangered species. And you've been involved in this work a long time via the talks you've given, things you've read, the poetry you've written. Do you find that over the last few years, travelling about as you do, that it's improving, or is it getting worse? Are we becoming more aware, more concerned?
Well, South African game is reasonably stabilised. Game is reasonably stable. There's still people who shoot here, but mainly it's stabilised. The rest of Africa is under the whip, I think. Kenya's corrupt, I think. I think Uganda's out. Angola, they shot all their own. Throughout there, I wouldn't like to say. But here it's stable. The rest of the world, we don't know. In the Amazon, they're removing habitat at the rate of 1,000 square acres an hour. So all throughout the world, it's not so sure. A few conservation areas that the World Wildlife Fund have put up Greenpeace, but otherwise I'd say we're losing. But if we're losing, I want to be there when the last round is fired in the defence of the wild.
Does it make you feel depressed? Does it make you feel nauseated?
Well, I'm glad it makes you feel depressed and nauseated, because if you are depressed and nauseated, you actually get up and do something. Like we actually translocated. You know, the Kruger cull their elephants so often because there's too many. But we saved some. We went to people like Paul McCartney, Peter Sellers, Eric Sykes, all the pop stars, and we got 3,000 rand a piece from each of them. Gave it to John Varty, and he stopped them shooting them and translocated them to a bomber in Londolozi. So that was a great feeling of having done something.
But that's the wonderful thing, because Spike, you are in an influential position to do just that. So you
I had to
don't
beg
fritter
Paul
away.
McCartney. I had to send him a rude telegram to get the money, you know.
But you got it.
Yeah, I tried to get the money.
You're clutching in your hand there
Oh, yes.
a very precious item which belongs to your family. Can I hold your hat while you
Well,
hold
it's not
that?
getting heavy.
I just want it to be seen and not dimmed.
And all you people watching in South Africa, this is rather a little nostalgic story. My grandfather, trumpet sergeant major Ketterban, was in the Anglo-Boer War. He's fought on the English side. And he captured, along with, I think, Connie, the colonel, the general, he made friends with a prisoner, a Boer prisoner, and his name was G.A. Breitenbach. How do you pronounce that?
Breitenbach.
Breitenbach.
Yes.
And Breitenbach was taken prisoner, and sent to Bermuda. But he kept writing to my grandfather. And while he was a captive in Bermuda, he made this little cut and gave it to my grandfather. And it's been in my family's possession ever since. And I thought it really belonged here. And I was hoping through the medium of television that somebody might have had a grandfather who he remembers, who was one of the Boer trekkers, who fought in the war, who was sent to Bermuda as a prisoner. If you do think you have some valid, and I'll spell this out for you again, it's very important. It's G-A, the initials, then the name B-R-E-I-T-E-N-B-A-C-H, Breitenbach, right?
Breitenbach, yes.
And if you phone the SABC, you put the number up on you?
Yes, Donna, yes. We'll put our number up.
If nobody collects it, it's going to go to the Afrikaner Republic Museum at Bloemfontein. That's the end of the message, thank you. There'll be a pause now while people say so.
Well, they'll say so. But Spike, what I want to say in conclusion, that it's a very generous gesture, the very fact it has been in your family. So emotionally it must mean something to you. You must part with it with a certain feeling of sadness.
Oh, yes, yes, it was great. I had it a long time, but I think it belongs here. If more people put things back where they came from, we'd have a tidier world.
Well, on behalf of South Africa, the family and the museum,
Right.
I must thank you for that.
And good times to you all.
Thank you.
And don't play such good rugby in future.
Here is the cup. I'm sorry it's shaking, but I've been laughing. If you're perhaps a relative of this particular Breitenbach, who was a prisoner of war during the Anglo-Boer War and was subsequently sent to Bermuda, where he carved this cup in 1902, please get in touch with us to claim the cup for your family. Our telephone number is 726-1818. If nobody can claim this, it will be presented to the War Museum of the Boer Republics in Bloemfontein. And what a lovely gesture it was. In fact, it's taken pride of place on my mantelpiece for a few days, and I'm really rather sorry to see it go. Thank you to Spike Milligan. Those of you that watch the Saturday night movie Bugsy Malone may have seen a child star, Scott Baio. Well, some years later, Scott Baio is now somewhat of a sensation for this generation of teenagers. Things are really happening for him since his first appearance on Happy Days. His series Joni Loves Chachi has been renewed on American television. He's got a film coming out called Zapped, in which he is totally charming, and now we see why.
You probably haven't seen anything like this since the invasion of the Beatles. But Scott Baio has become America's top teen idol, and the fans swarm him wherever he appears.
You really have become America's teen heartthrob, and I know you get mobbed everywhere you go. Does that ever scare you?
Nah. I tell you the truth, I kind of enjoy it. It's what it's all about, really. If somebody recognizes me and comes up to me and says, "Hey, how you doing?" I get a kick out of it, because I think it goes along with the job.
Scott's enormous popularity with the teenage audiences hasn't been lost on the producers of Happy Days, who created a spin-off for Scott and Aaron Moran called Joni Loves Chachi.
Something magic in the way you hold me in your eyes.
And if the American high ratings for the pilot episode are any indication, then Joni Loves Chachi plus Scott's singing will no doubt score with the teenage audience. And ironically, since Scott had no formal training as a singer, the fan mail he received from the show is partly responsible for launching his recording career.
With everything you're doing, how do you have time for private life?
I'll tell you the truth, the way I like to be is not to have any time. I guess I'm sort of a workaholic, and if I could work 365 days a year, I would do it.
What about hanging out with friends or dating?
Well, there's time for that, and I haven't met anybody yet, so.
In other words, you're looking for companionship and friendship, not romance.
Oh, I like romance, too.
Oh, you do?
But I'd like, oh, yeah.
Are you romantic?
No, but sometimes, it depends. Sometimes I'm not romantic, and sometimes I'm very romantic. But I like the girl to be romantic, I guess.
Now, wait a minute. That doesn't sound fair. If you're not...
You're right. It's not fair. But that's how I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe it probably is unfair, but I don't know. I just like a person that's fun to be with.
Oh, girl, what was in that kiss? I've never felt like this. Just tell me what your secret is. Oh, girl.
Johnny Bossoff arranged the music, and Ken Curson produced this musical featuring a host of South African stars. The Elton John Songbook is on TV1 this Thursday at 8:35. South Africa's top-selling singles based on record sales throughout the Republic. Now, see that our guest last week, John Ireland, is still running at number 2, I Like. He hasn't moved up that one vital place. Playing at the moment in Johannesburg, the South African Defence Force Entertainment Group, which soon will be touring countrywide with their show called Music for All, under the direction of Major Domo, Major George Hayden. And opening tonight for their first performance is the 3 top local stars, Juluka, which tops the bill, with Joy and Hotline top attractions. They're here for a week before going on tour. Joy, by the way, was in the Marty Kane show on BBC One in April. Well, still on the local front, it seems that Leslie Ray Dowling, at present the hottest artist in the country, will probably never appear again live in concert. It looks as though she's going to restrict her work to the recording studio and the occasional television appearance. This is not unknown, in fact, for a top recording artist. On back to Hollywood. Brooke Shields' prom, and you'll be sad to hear this, has caused a problem for her. Nobody asked her for a date. She solved the problem by asking somebody for herself. And she told a teenage magazine that people just do not want to ask her for things like that. Apparently, boys are intimidated. She should get onto one of these South African boys. One of the small problems of being a child star, apparently, but there are, in fact, bigger problems. And mindful of the youthful cast of our Saturday night movie last week, here's a special look at child stars and how some famous performers have dealt with those problems at a very early age.
It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us.
It's a world wonder-filled through a child's eye, the wealth of a legacy, though bittersweet, beginning over half a century ago.
So you gotta hang on till tomorrow.
Perhaps it was the sideways cap, the big-eyed, silent face of an urchin begging for a home in a nation of immigrants. For as Charlie Chaplin's co-star, it was the kid who stole the show. Suddenly, a child actor had won the hearts of so many, as did Peck's bad boy, 6-year-old Jackie Coogan.
I was undernourished, poor, desperate, and all those things that softens an audience up. And they loved it. They loved to cry.
No, 1,000 times no, you diaper viper!
Later, a world yearning for comic relief from its depression found laughter and music from children. Shirley Temple, a gift of hope, would join a generation of little rascals. An original rascal, Jackie Cooper, was a feisty kid, fit for the tougher themes of the day. He would play Wallace Beery's son, his best friend, and the champ. But the adult Cooper would reveal the dark side of child stardom as a champ for the abused child.
Making a child perform, it's rather a form of abuse in itself, really. Kids ought to go to school and grow up together and be boys and girls together.
I don't think that I would be as easily convinced by 2 other people that giving my child over to live with them would be the best thing for my child.
It took half her adult life for Patty Duke Aston to understand why her mother left her at aged 8 to move in with her family, eager to help launch her early stardom. First as Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker, and in her teens her own television series for 2,500 Rand per week. But it was a gamble that happily paid off.
I really don't have any regret. I now realize that I have done a lot of things because of the kind of childhood that I had. Exciting things, educational things that probably never would have happened to me. We don't really know.
More sadly is the child star who made a great deal of money and received a great deal of acclaim, who in later life did not go on to stardom, to continued stardom.
When the success stopped, I took it personally and felt like they were rejecting me instead of that they were rejecting Jeff from Lassie. And I felt terrible. It was a very miserable period in my life.
Tom Rettig played in dozens of films before he won his most famous role as Lassie's best friend for 500 Rand a week in 1953. But his 4 years with Lassie were the peak of his career, as Tom found out. When tired of the series, he could not win any roles playing a young adult.
I don't think you're ever prepared for that kind of rejection coming at a time in your life when it's biologically the thing to be making wins, to be going ahead and to be gaining acceptance into the adult world for the first time. That's what's biologically happening to you. And I was going the other way, as most of us do who are child stars.
But for Peck's bad boy, it was not a case of outgrowing the part. A few months before his 21st birthday, his father died. Jackie Coogan learned then that it would take a lawsuit to win back from his mother just a portion of his 14 million Rand.
What surprises me mostly is my stupidity. in trusting my parents. Because any child should learn that when money is concerned, he's in there in a dogfight.
The Coogan Act would insist that half the earnings of future children be placed in trust so that Jackie Coogan's own grandson, Keith, can be an actor, be a child, and grow up to see his earnings.
Of course, he doesn't have any talent, but he's...
Ricky Schroeder's youth and potential fortune are protected by law.
Everything that Ricky's made is in a trust fund, and you know, it's all being distributed evenly, so we're not putting all our apples in one basket or whatever, eggs in one basket, you know, everything. And hopefully we're making good decisions for him, and you know, hopefully he'll be better off than we are, and that's, I think, what every parent wants. You know, they want their children to have a better life than they've ever had.
I just see myself as a regular boy, 12-year-old, and I do lots of stuff that other 12-year-olds do, and a lot more that other 12-year-olds don't do. So, I consider myself just a regular boy. There's two things I would like. I would love to do: acting or being a lifeguard in a pool.
Yeah, go!
But as the granddaughter of John Barrymore, it would seem that 7-year-old Drew Barrymore, co-star of E.T., is destined for a career in acting.
She said, "Mommy, I want to do commercials and I want to act." You know, I sort of expected that from her. I wasn't surprised because at a year and a half, she would say, "Mommy, I'm bored, I need attention."
What are you going as, Gert?
I'm going as a cowgirl.
Immediately, if I saw any sort of star syndrome beginning to develop in her, I would immediately try to correct that or just dissuade her from that. But so far, I've not had to deal with it.
Asked if she had any advice for millions of other aspiring young actors and actresses, this is what Drew had to say.
Gotta get the money.
11-year-old Oliver Robbins' gifted screaming won him his first movie role in the September-release film Poltergeist. He rates his earnings as somewhere between R1 and R1,000,000.
You know, the world becomes a harder and harder place to grow in as an individual, and Oliver has a very unique opportunity, and the other children in his position have that opportunity too, to have a cushion that will be there when they get out of college.
Oliver spent many hours pretending in front of a mirror, but now his eye is more on the Super 8 film viewer, dreaming of a career behind the camera.
I want to become a director or maybe a writer because, like, I really like the film business and I like to go behind the scenes and, like, do some stuff because when the director's working on a movie, I want to, like, to say, I want to do it this way, and but I can't do that, so I just suggest little things.
My goal is that Oliver be a happy person right now, and if he's not wanted as an actor, he will be wanted as a person.
Well, my guess is that Oliver will be sitting in that little old cushion for some time to come, or $1.5 or $250,000 of it. Well, the big news which broke this weekend is that Liza Minnelli has been signed up for the Super Bowl in October. The man responsible for the whole business is here with me now, Sol Kersner. Sol, it's caused a great deal of excitement all over. What's been your particular experience of the excitement?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very, very exciting. Firstly, it was very exciting for us. I just had a feeling that Liza Minnelli would be very, very exciting star to sign up. And well, I started getting the calls at about 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, and they were coming in from all over. And then on Monday morning, speaking to Bessie Tucker at CompuTicket, he told me that his calls began at 6:30 on Sunday morning, and it's really caused a lot of hysteria. But I think the public seem to forget that there's something like about 7,000 seats available for each performance.
So everyone wanted to book instantly at dawn.
Absolutely. And we went to great lengths because, as I say, I had a feeling that this would be very, very exciting news. And we went to great lengths to explain that bookings were opening on September 1. Nevertheless, there was that instant sort of reaction. In any event, there are going to be over 60,000 seats available over the performances that she's going to be doing.
Here she is now. This is something of what she has been doing. Let's take a look.
Hello, hello, darling. Hello, hello, darling. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. It's good to see you here. We love you, dear, and you are looking swell. 'Cause his is the only music that makes me dance. He'll sleep and he'll rise in the light of two eyes that adore him. For him they might, but they won't leave his sight. For a glance in every way, every day, I need less of myself. I need more him, more him. 'Cause his is the only music that makes me dance. In every way, every day, I need less of myself. I need more him, more him. 'Cause his is the only music that makes me dance.
Oh, that's wonderful stuff, Sol. I hope we'll be clapping her soon in October. In fact, I know we'll be clapping her in October. What sort of show is she going to bring? Have you got any idea at this stage?
Yes, she brings her own musicians. There are 12 of them, a couple of dancers. And for the rest, speaking to her agents, they tell me that it's Liza Minnelli. It's not a major production show, no very complicated sets.
I mean, she is the major
she is the
production.
show.
Yes,
Yeah.
so she's the show. So one can't anticipate lots of other things happening.
No.
It'll be Liza.
Absolutely.
Have you met her personally?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Now, how did you achieve this particular scoop then?
Well, it goes back to the time when we were negotiating for Sinatra, and her legal representative happens to be the same as Sinatra's legal rep, Mickey Rudin. As I signed up the Sinatra deal, I immediately spoke to him about Liza Minnelli, and that goes back about 18 months. And at that time, he told me, he said, look, Minnelli works when she wants to work, where she wants to, when she wants to, and where she wants to work. And he said, one day, he said, I'll give you a call. And that happened about 2 weeks back. And I've been speaking to him on and off about her. And I've been very, very keen to bring her to Sun City.
Really, I think that one has to perhaps regard Sinatra as being the major scoop, which was then totally successful in bringing so many other people in his wake. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the reason I think we homed in on Sinatra. I think one must realize that these superstars are not difficult to contract anywhere in the world, and particularly when a venue is unknown and it's some distance to travel to. It's quite difficult to get them to work there. There was no question in my mind that if we could have Sinatra open, that this would give a great deal of credibility. And fortunately, he had a great time when he was here, and has done a lot of good PR work for us in the US.
Well, Sol, all I can say now, as delightful as it has been to have you sitting in my set, my main hope is about to be that sitting in exactly that spot in October, live on Open End, will be Liza
Right.
Minnelli. And thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Congratulations on the achievement. I've been trying to persuade Sol to flex a few muscles, but he's absolutely refused, because I'm about to talk about Tarzan and tell you that in the old days, all that Tarzan had to do to find Jane was to swing through the jungle on a vine. But today the jungle is Hollywood, and the Jane search is a bit more complicated.
One of Hollywood's most dramatic real-life stories began to unfold poolside at an LA hotel. After 7 months of intense casting, who would finally be selected for the title role of Jane?
Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get it on. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie.
Out of 700 photos, we've selected about 20 to 30 girls to show up today, so we can hopefully zero in on about 5 girls that we intend to then test. We'll test them on camera, we'll test them with animals, and then we'll test them in athletic prowess. Then we'll worry about if they can act.
I think that I could be Jane because I'm an actress and I've been in a jungle for a long time as it is, so.
And I feel that I could be Jane because I feel pretty wild right now. I want to be rich. Why not?
Because I like to swing through trees.
I liked being Jane because I love show business. There's no business like show business.
Marty Kane has already made some impact on the South African scene, although we haven't seen her in performance just yet. Anyway, her impact is not surprising because she's a lady with lots of pizzazz, and we're about to see her now in performance.
This is the world of fashion and ultra chic. Trendy today, but very passé next week. If it's your dream and secret passion, whether you're dark or pale and ashen, this is the new world of fashion.
Sophisticated, understated, but not very
lekker?
Oh, it's fantastic, man.
Oh, shame, man. Right.
I really like the closing lines of that, an adventure into pleasure.
Yes.
It sounds good.
Yes, it does. I can't wait.
You obviously enjoyed singing that.
Yes.
Were all those feathers and things heavy to carry along? You seem to float very lightly.
They are rather heavy, you know. They're all on a framework and they sit on your shoulders, and it's you know, you sort of get used to it after a while.
Now I know what it meant when I read about you in the paper saying it's all glued and plastered and strapped
Yes,
on.
all
You meant
glued
those
on,
feathers,
screwed on.
didn't you?
No, not exactly, but I'm not going into details.
No, well, that was the impression you gave, but I'm sure it was the feathers and nothing else.
Yeah, right.
Marty, you ready for this whole debut of Voila? You're all sort of set now and
well, you
rehearsed
know,
and...
Yes, but everybody panics. You always panic when, you know, you never feel that it's going to be ready, but of course it is going to be ready, and Mr. Farmer's wonderful and the choreographer's wonderful, and we're all having nervous breakdowns. Yes. It's going to be wonderful.
I think it's going to be wonderful. Yeah. Actually, can I just give the viewers a quick message that if they want to talk to you direct, they must telephone on our lines, which are
yes, do.
726-1818.
So 726-1818. Do give us a ring.
That's right, they want to talk to you.
Preferably a diamond one.
Yes, quickly. I want to know, you said you were born happy.
Yes.
You were very lucky.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Being born?
Yeah, much about
Not clearly,
Well,
no.
how do you know you were happy? Yes.
Well, I just don't suffer from many depressions and things.
But you've quite a sad childhood, actually.
No, it sounded sad, but it sounded a little Dickensian, orphanages and things like that. But I fought my way out and
did you make most of it up, or is it true?
Oh, it's true, yeah.
Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, well, no, I was born at a very early age.
Yeah.
And,
you've always been unusual, Marty, even your birth, yeah?
Yes. You know, everything was fine until I was 7. You know, I was an only child, an only grandchild, mum, dad, and gran and grandpa. Then my dad died, and my mum sort of couldn't handle it, and I ended up in an orphanage for about 3 weeks. Then I ran away. I saved 7 and 6pence, which is about 15 rand. Yeah. No, 10 rand, something like that. And I thought that'd get me around the world, you know. It didn't. It got me as far as Carlisle, which is about 30 miles from where I ran away from. However, I ended up living with my grandfather, and who brought me up to more or less to where I am now. Didn't feed me very well, but here I am.
But how did all that begin? I mean, I know you've spoken about the working men's clubs. You didn't go straight from your grandfather to the working men's clubs in Sheffield, or did you?
No, I got married. I didn't have to get married. You know, I was married at 17. I could have waited another 3 weeks.
I wouldn't even have suggested it.
No, of course not.
Quite.
No. So I got married at 17, and we had 2 children in quick succession. And, well, there wasn't a lot of money knocking about, so and I didn't want to work during the day because I quite enjoyed, you know, playing in the mud with the kids, you know. Didn't enjoy cooking and things like that, but playing in the mud was great. And we needed extra money. Everybody does, don't they? So we need extra money. So I decided to become a singer on the clubs. That meant I could go out at night and still play with the kids during the day. And I was so scared. I was a singer, but I was so scared I used to stand there glued to the floor, and my husband would sit in the front and say, "Move your arms," you see. So I'd say, "Some enchanted evening," or something like that. And knock sticks out of drummers. And everybody used to fall about laughing, so I thought, right, I became a comedian.
Now, was this in the working men's clubs?
Yes, yes. Very hard school. You always sing like this because that way you're a harder target to hit.
Yeah, you must have... That must have been a rough school. It was a rough school.
Oh, yes, it was rough. Yes, it was a bit difficult, yes.
Yeah, but you kept them under good control, I should imagine.
Sometimes, and sometimes they control me. The rule of working men's clubs is always look for a window in the dressing room for a quick escape, you know.
Oh, it was really necessary, wasn't it?
No, always look for a quick way out, yeah, just in case. Yeah.
So you'd sort of get them laughing and then dive through the window?
Well, it depends. If they laughed at the singing, I'd dive through the window.
What about 1975? That was when you won ATV's New Faces.
Yes.
And they sent you off to Las Vegas. Now, you've been a comedian. What happened to you when you went to Las Vegas?
Well, the first prize...
That was the prize, wasn't it?
Yes, the first prize was 3 weeks in Las Vegas, and the second prize was 8 weeks in Las Vegas. Yes, I didn't do very well at all, as a matter of fact. I went on 3 times a night, and oh, it was awful. You know, I just.
What did you have to do?
I had to sing and tell gags. Well, the singing, you know, they all stood up after the first song. I thought they were leaving. You know, I really did. It was a standing ovation, the only one I've ever had. And I thought they were going, but no. But they sort of smiled during the comedy, but not very loudly. You know, so it went like that. And it's just a difference in comedy. However, I find that the comedy here is very similar to at home.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Well,
is it?
Well,
Yes.
is it? But I mean, you've already been reputed for the comments you've made about the conservatism.
Oh yes, I can explain.
Yeah, the South Africans, and you also went on to say, however, that you like the courtesy and the chauvinism of the South African men.
Oh, yeah, they're very, very courteous. It's like Britain used to be 40 years ago, I think. You know, I mean, no, that's meant in the nicest possible way. Gentlemen are well-mannered, and they are chauvinists, and I think they're wonderful, you know.
In what sort of way do you mean they're chauvinists?
I mean, they sort of... you know, they stand up when you enter a room and they open doors for you, but along with all that, they treat you like a lady, but they expect to be treated like men, and quite rightly so, and you must sort of do what they say. Yes.
So, I mean, they're comic and they're courteous and they're chauvinistic.
Yes.
And they're kind.
I'm getting myself into a lot of trouble here, aren't
I? Well, I mean, you've already also said that you'd like to be remarried. Do you think that perhaps your eyes are going to settle on a South African man? Apparently they've got all the virtues. I don't know if South African women would agree with you, but I mean, you're allowed another opinion.
Yeah, well, sort of, they keep roving, you know, they're wonderful. They're so dishy, these fellows here. Don't bite your nails, look what happened to Venus. They're wonderful, the South African. Yeah, I like all gentlemen, but...
You're not just being courteous and kind because you're a visitor at the moment.
Certainly not, she lied. No.
No, she seems totally sincere. I believe, Marty, that you're interested in astrology.
Yes, well, I've had the book 3 weeks, yes.
You had the book 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I thought you carried it everywhere, all over the world. You're an Aquarius.
Yes.
What does that make you? Have you studied the sign?
Yes, all people born, and it gives me delusions of adequacy for a start. And it's the water carrier, so all people born under this sign are a little bit wet, I think.
Yes.
Independent, free-spirited, and good-looking, fabulous figures, and modest.
Your this whole glamour and sexuality.
Oh, go on.
Oh, go on.
Yeah.
We must talk about that now.
Stay.
They're all waiting to talk about that.
Yes.
I daren't try that myself.
Go
Just isn't filled so fulsomely. Marty, when you're playing this whole scene, you know, how do the women react? Do they love you or loathe you or just turn their heads away?
Well, the thing
is... You don't know yet in South Africa.
I don't know, no.
You'll find out, but generally everywhere else.
Well, I always work to women because I can identify with women. I've gone through all the problems that most women have gone through, and perhaps a few that some haven't. And my act is geared towards women. It's about women's things and men and dogs and cats and kids and
so you play principally to women?
Yes.
Women are in your mind?
Yes, well, it's important to make the ladies laugh first, because if a gentleman feels that his lady has been insulted or upset, he won't laugh at all.
Aha. So, now, we've actually got a caller on the line, so we're going to bring in our first question and see what that's all about. Good. Caller number 1. Good evening, and what's your question?
Good evening.
Yes.
I would like to ask Marty if she has time for hobbies, and if she does have, what are they?
Can I ask your name?
Beverly Autumn.
Hi, Bev. No, hobbies, yes. I have 10-minute hobbies. Like I take up sewing for 10 minutes, buy all the gear, all the best sewing machines. When I discover I'm not very good at it, I give it up and go on to something else. Photography was another one. So I like sewing, decorating, photography, gardening, and that's about it, really. Oh, I intend to learn to play tennis, learn to swim, learn to play squash, but only if I can do it in high heels.
You happy about that one?
Yes, thank you very much.
Good, thank you very much. Marty, you've totally crashed my next question.
Oh.
I was about to say, do you play sport? What sort of sport? It's ruined. You want to
What
play
kind
tennis?
of sports do I play at the moment? I'd rather not answer on this
Before
programme.
you start the other ones.
No, I'm not really into sport. Only because, like, I can't hit the ball. If anybody throws a ball at me, I tend to run in the opposite direction. You know, they look terribly lethal.
There's a name for that. What is it? Is it bat blind or ball blind or what?
I think it's called sheer unadulterated fear.
We've got a call from the other end of the country from a Mamsam Toti. Yes, fire away, please. You're on Open End Live right now. Hello.
Hello, love.
Hello, love. Who's that?
Do you remember Hatfield House Lane School? It's Ray Hawley.
Oh, hello, love. Just talk amongst yourself. Ray, now I remember it. Wasn't that you behind the bike sheds?
No, Concord Park.
Concord Park. We were 11, weren't we?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah, sharing a lolly. Yes, I remember. How you doing, Ray?
Fine, and how's yourself, love?
Fine. What do you do? What do you do over here?
Well, I've been over in South Africa since January and enjoying it very much. I'm down in Durban.
And do you like it?
Yeah,
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all this sunshine, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I can stand this winter weather, eh?
Yeah, great. I'm going crispy around the edges, but...
When's Nutty coming over then?
Pardon?
When's Nutty coming over?
Oh, Nutty, let me explain. Nutty is an English comic. I don't know, he's got to learn to talk proper before he comes. He's got to be able to say, lekker nach men. No, but I'm sending him instructions over the phone. Right?
Do you still see him?
Oh, Nutty?
Yeah?
Occasionally, unless he sees me first. Yes.
How long are you in Sun City for?
How long am I in Sun City for? Well, I thought I was here for a year, but I met Mr. Kersner for the first time today, and well, he might, if he doesn't like me, well, I might just be there for 2 weeks or something.
Well, Marty, I mean, Ray's obviously a lovely man.
Oh, he's a grand chap.
It was very important in your past. Thank you. Oh, he's gone. Thank you very much anyway.
Oh, bye, Ray.
Bye, Ray. Yes. Marty, what about, before we talk to our next caller, everybody's asked you about your habits and your vegetarianism. Is it true?
Vegetarian?
I thought you were vegetarian.
Oh, no, I eat colossal amounts of meat. I'm a meat eater. That's why we've got canine teeth.
Oh.
So I was told, yeah. Yeah, I was married to a butcher. It was the only thing we ever got free.
Call from Johannesburg. Yes, telephone call from Johannesburg. On Open End Live, let's hear from you now, and hello.
Hello, good evening, Miss Marty Kane.
Hello.
There are 2 questions I would like to ask you. One which I think you've answered yourself already. I was going to ask you if you choreograph your own dancing sequences.
No, I have a slight problem. I don't know left from right.
Oh, I see.
And I really don't. It's a real problem. I've been booked twice for going around an island, a traffic island, the wrong way. And I've tried tying bits of cotton, different coloured cottons and sellotape and all sorts of different things to try and remember this is red and this is red for right and lemon for left. And somebody said, well, if you hold your hand like that, that makes an L. But if you hold it like that way, it's another, you know, and I put my B's and D's the wrong way around, I think. So, no, I don't choreograph my own thing. A very, very capable gentleman called Jeff Richard is the choreographer. He was very nice until he met me. He's beginning to crack up a bit now.
Thank you. And the second question I wanted to ask you is, you know, a show like the new one you're going to put on, Voila, will run probably for several months.
Yes.
Now, the opening night is always a climax, the second night probably an anticlimax, but, you know, once you go into sort of months or weeks after the opening night, does it just become a routine job, or do you still feel that sparkle, and does it still give you some sort of enthusiasm to go onto the stage and sort of perform?
Yes, you've got to have the adrenaline there, and every audience is entirely different. They all have the same sort of feel. You can pick up, it's called reading an audience or feeling an audience. Yeah. Some people call it vibes, man, you know, this is an American expression. But they're all different, and you work entirely different to all of them, and it keeps it fresh every time.
I see. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Marty. We're moving straight into another call. Yes, let's have it, and hello.
Hello, Wilson. This is Yasmin here. Hello,
Who is it?
Yasmin.
Hi, Yasmin.
Hi, Yasmin, yes.
Is Marty in the studio?
She is, right here.
Perhaps if I didn't sit sideways, how about that? This wire getting in your way. I'll move it.
Okay. This is Cape Town. I'd like to ask you one question, please.
Please do.
The show that you're taking part in at Sun City,
Yes.
Voila,
Yes.
would you tell me who put the show together, whose idea it was, please?
Yes, it was all Mr. Tony Farmer's idea.
Mr. Tony Farmer.
Yes.
Another question.
Go on then.
Is
love.
there a central theme around which the show evolves?
The central theme around which the show evolves. Well, I hate to sound immodest, but yes. It's me.
You. Can I ask you one more?
I'm sorry,
Can
Desmond.
I ask you one more question?
Yeah, go on, love.
I happen to be Aquarius too.
Oh, great.
What date were you born?
January 26th.
26th. I'm
Yes.
17th Feb.
17th of February?
Yeah.
Oh, my son was born on the 15th of February.
Is it?
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Are you as flat-chested as I am? I find all Aquarians are.
I beg pardon?
I find all Aquarians are as flat-chested.
Flat-chested?
Yeah, are you?
Oh, really? Well, I'm saving up, Yasmin, you know.
Nice talking to you, Marty. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Yasmin.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Bye-bye.
Well, somebody's boob somewhere, Marty. There's no question whether it's you or Jasmine, I don't know.
Aquarians are flat-chested. Oh, don't fancy that. Do you know I heard Rackle Welsh was Aquarian?
Oh, you did?
Something's gone wrong somewhere, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's been a terrible boob somewhere along the line.
Yes, I'd be happy with
Listen,
one like that.
Can
Go
I
on,
get the
sorry.
chance? Can I get the chance to ask you a question?
Yes, do.
Yes, you know, it's time I sort of moved in here.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks very much. Don't take that away, because that hides my spare microphone, which is the deep secret. If
sorry.
anything goes wrong with that, when I pull this one out from behind the cushions, you've ruined the plot.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes, but you can have it back.
Give me another fortnight, you know, I could ring
And
the
you
studio.
could sort it out.
You were asking
now,
me.
what I really wanted to ask you is that you were quoted saying a while ago that one mustn't get too serious about show business. You know, the whole thing's a lot of nonsense, all very silly, and it's all too easily one can get blasé and go over the top.
Yes, I
and
think
you said it's like what you are on the outside, just sort of superficial and pretty meaningless.
Yes,
But let's talk to you on the inside. Let's actually talk to Lynn Stringer for a while.
All right, then, go on.
Who's Lynn Stringer, then?
Well,
That's you.
Yes, I'm not the least bit. It's a bit like being what I call consciously schizophrenic. You know, there are two of me. There's her, that's Marty Kane, and there's me. And she's responsible for driving far too fast. She smokes far too much. She does everything wrong. Me, I'm perfect. She's terrible, you know. She's dreadful, you know. It's easy. It's much better to separate the two, because then you can keep yourself normal, and you can be a normal mum and a normal housewife and a normal, you know, you can be normal sort of thing.
Working on this whole split personality basis.
Yes. I mean, I'm not schizophrenic anymore, but where am I now that I need me, I ask myself. Yes.
Marty's another caller there.
Go, good.
Can you come in, please, and let's talk to you? What do you want to ask Marty Kane?
Hi, it's Linda here.
Hi, Linda.
Marty, you seem to have so many different talents. You're a singer, a dancer, actress, comedian. How do you see yourself, first and foremost?
A great bluffer.
You know, you do so many different things, and apart from your show business, as you say, you're a mother as well. Where do you see yourself as being?
I don't just a traveller through life, I guess, Linda. I wait and see what happens, and I think you should use everything that God gave you, you know, or as well as you can, because everybody's got something, and it's nice to be able to exercise those things, and it's great to get the chance to do something, and if you can, you know, help others while you're doing it. You know, I don't want to sound terribly moral and good and things like that, because I'm not. But how do I see myself? I don't know. I don't really, just.
Goal you like working towards?
I beg pardon?
Do you have some goal you're working towards?
Yes. Yes, I want a nice house with nice furniture and a nice car, and a nice holiday once a year, and time to enjoy it all.
Don't we all?
Yeah, right, love, yeah. If you find the magic formula, ring us up again, yeah?
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Linda, bye-bye. Thank you very much. Marty, I don't think that we'll try to cap that. I think you've probably echoed the ambition or the aspiration of all women everywhere.
Oh, well, I've right enjoyed it. Thank you very much for inviting me.
That's lovely, and for a most delightful session. Thank you so much.